Hey, how you doing, man? Can you hear me out pretty good?
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Hopefully, you had a good day today.
Yeah,
Yeah, hold on. Give me a sec. I'm trying to get the setup right.
no problem.
Yeah. So you said you from the UK, right?
The United Kingdom, yes.
Oh, which what which part is it? Is that like somewhere near yeah,
England?
yeah? Is it like somewhere near England?
It is in England, yeah. Or England is in the United Kingdom.
Okay. Okay. So you want to talk to me about you said you wanted to discuss to me about socialism because and economics because you said that I was I wanted to take some more time into like learn it since that debate Fabian Liberty had with free hacker whoever his name was. So
Uh,
if you
yeah, I mean, I do economics. I'm not an economist, and I'm not I didn't study at university per se. I'm in computers, but I have been uh studying it in myself and debating it against socialists and SOCDEMs, social democrats.
are they,
And yeah, if you're interested in this topic, let's have a chat.
yeah. So were they like big name socialists or just like some random socialists out on the streets or around the internet?
Uh, I don't know necessarily a big name socialist, but socialists are not like a super popular thing per se. It's like a fringe kind of movement in a sense. They're not normies. Normies would be like social democrats or like lefties who say I want Norway, I want Sweden. The socialists are like Discord people or like Reddit people that want to argue with capitalists, but they're not on the radar per se politically.
That's kind of been my thing because that whole debate, or if you can call it that, with Fabian Liberty, he had with a hacker.
Mhm.
He was pushing out the evidence of statehood, uh, like welfare, the welfare system, and all that. He did not want to work. He kept on giving this notion that corrosion, yet working is an act of corrosion when actuality is not. It's more like voluntarily. But you see, some people out here don't want to see it that way. They only want to see it as socialism works or Marxism works because capitalism has failed. Even though capitalism, especially in this country, the United States, has helped out a lot more people gain generational wealth and help other people get out of poverty. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's all true.
yeah.
But like,
My thing is, how can someone who looks at all this stuff say capitalism is bad? Everybody should switch over to Marxist or socialist ideologies to say this works. But then when they look at countries like the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, even though they're more communist, how can anybody like look at these kind of places and be like, this will be better than capitalism?
yeah, that's a very good question. So basically, I would say the short answer is that they are wearing a special kind of lens, and the lens that they are seeing the world through doesn't allow them to see socialism as a negative way, and only sees capitalism in a negative way. So they would say that here's a laundry list of all the things that capitalism has done badly. Ignore all the good things, and in our utopian, dreamlike socialist future, this will all be fixed. And then when you point out that previous socialist experiments in countries turned out very badly, they will say, well, this isn't real socialism because it failed. So it's kind of like, it's basically like deranged people in a sense. But
Right.
even even if you speak to them, like if you debate a socialist, like they'll always try to attack capitalism. They'll never like promote socialism per se. They'll just like keep attacking, keep attacking, keep attacking, and to some degree, like they're not necessarily attacking capitalism proper. They're attacking like a mixed economy where we have a government intervening in capital in the markets, and a cronyism to some degree, and all sorts of things that aren't really included in capitalism. But if you include it all into one big book, then evil capitalists destroying, polluting the planet, destroying everything, making everyone poor, and therefore that's why we need social.
Yeah, here's my thing, because I wanted to go back to the one point you made where some people who live in the U.S. say that the people who escape socialism, yeah, who came here for a better life to like not be in a much more oppressive environment. A lot of people keep on saying like on the left and all these socialist or Marxist people talking points. They say that the thing that they escaped from was not real socialism, and people who come here from those socialistic countries or states, they say like, no, socialism is not good. Socialism is not a good policy because it keeps people poor and keeps the rich rich. It does not help the poor become rich. How did we get to that talking point where people who came from socialism are trying to tell people who do want socialism that this is what we're encountering? How are people not getting that through their head and saying like it's what they've gone through was fake socialism?
Well, I don't know how to necessarily psychologize socialism, but what can I say? They are willfully ignoring it. They are essentially lying to themselves. They're ignoring the atrocities that socialism had, and people who typically have gone through socialism, either like in South America or Eastern Europe, they remember very well how socialism was, and they're not interested in it. Like if you know, I don't know South America as well, like in Venezuela and stuff like that, but Eastern European countries, they are fully taking on capitalism. Like it's relatively difficult for them because they had like, I don't know, 30 years of communism, so the government isn't there in terms of ensuring property rights and stuff like that. But they've gone full on like low taxes. Everyone come to start a business here, please. If you have like a young family and you want to work out, this is a very good. That's the approach those Eastern European former communist countries are taking.
Okay, so what's the area that you are in right now? Is it more socialist ideology, or is it going towards capitalism?
Who I debate, or what my position is?
You're like the country you living in the UK. Is it more of a socialist ideology turning point, or is it more capitalism?
So it's a mixed economy. Is it more socialism or more capitalism? So recently in the UK, there's been very recently, last week, there was a new budget by a new Chancellor of the Exchequer. So that's like the finance minister in a sense. That pretty much like set us on course for a more freer market country. But bear in mind, we have nationalized healthcare. We have nationalized like your K-12 education system. We have deep roots in this country for socialism because essentially from 1945 to 1978, this country was pretty socialist in a sense, not all the way like communist socialism, but like pretty committed to socialist principles. And then in 1979, we went more neoliberal, and since the financial crisis, a bit more socialist, and now like we're back on the neoliberal free market side.
Okay. So what kind of policies can you tell me that is more benefactor to the elites, like the government, the top 1%? Like, what do you know? Like any certain policies that could that you could describe so I can look towards them.
In the UK, you mean?
Yeah, in the UK.
And when you ask that, are you asking it in terms of giving the 1% greater benefits than the rest of the population, or just tax cuts?
I want to say give it keep the low class low, or the middle class, and the whole keep the 1% in power, and make sure they never fall off.
It's a good question, and it's difficult to explain because I'll try to explain like the culture here. So technically, England for a very long time has been like a class society where you have the upper class, middle class, and lower class. And I think the British people, like the class they are born to, they would associate themselves with that class for their whole life. I think it's better nowadays. Like there's an element of new rich people or people that have succeeded, have done very well for themselves. Like let's say J.K. Rowling's the author of Harry Potter. These are kind of like the new rich, and 90% of rich people are new rich in the UK, but there still are like old money kind of connected to politicians that went to school with went to the same private, very famous private school called Eton with other politicians that has like a feeling like they are connected to power in a sense, but it isn't. It's not in your face. Like they won't like drive a Lamborghini down the street or something. It's like kind of hushed up a bit, but there is like a sense that there is like a old money, not playing a prominent role in politics, but it's there.
Okay, so you say it's not playing a huge role in like politics, but what about the economic side of it? Is it a much more greater role than it was back in like probably the 90s or 80s or 70s, or is it like around the same benefactor?
So I'm not clear on what you're asking. Can you ask again?
I'm asking like for the economic side. Is it is the economic side in the UK the same way? It's like keeping like some people down and keeping these people up, or is it like the like everybody is going to have a chance to grow?
I think that the UK is very welcoming. If you're opening a company, it's very welcoming. If you are trying to earn an income and do well for yourself, I do feel that there is some point where either the British people don't like it, or people get too rich, or taxes start affecting how much you are able to keep from your money. And there does seem to be like a sort of a ceiling between upper middle class and the rich in the UK. But like if you never if like you're happy with staying in the upper middle class and you're making a decent amount of money and you don't mind, then you won't mind. But there is like an upper limit that I feel some rich people have like lifted the drawbridge, and you miss your chance if you're not in the club already. But up to that point, you have free reign to work as hard as you like.
Okay, so it's pretty much like the American economic system. You can choose to work your way up, or you can choose to like keep yourself at this level. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think America, I would like to think, is more free. I don't know economically. I don't know exactly, but I hear that basically if you work hard, or if you try real hard in terms of like let's say you're a salesman, or those kinds of like things, let's say that you hear on the internet, where if you listen to a lot of self-help tapes and you go into sales and you work real hard, you can make a lot of money. And America would like basically give you free reign into achieving as much as you can. Like they won't have an issue with that as much. And I know that America, the population itself there's a large number of the population that is rich. So like 8.8% of Americans are millionaires and above. So yeah, that it is economically free in that sense.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people who do say like, capitalism is terrible. Even though if you look at the entertainment industry, if you look at the music industry, like movies and TVs and all that all that stuff, you will see how capitalism actually brought forth a lot of people. They just had to show their talents, and they had to show like what exactly they were capable of. We can't like not just for the big corporations too. It could be the same thing with real estate. It could be the same thing with banking, and a whole among some restaurant businesses. They say like capitalism, like giving people jobs, giving them benefits to try to grow their wealth. It's not really a good thing. And when I hear people say that, it's like, okay, so how do you explain the people from the 70s and 80s who use the means of capitalism in order to gain generational wealth? They say, well, that wasn't really, it's not really capitalism. That was them more finding, going through the loopholes that the government or the man put in place.
See.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I mean, I think that obviously America has like a long history of immigrants as well. So like
right.
certain immigrants that come from Asia, from the Caribbeans, Jews as well. They're able to, from generation, like work hard, acquire wealth, pass it down to their children to some degree, or like in the forms of buying houses. And over time, people are noticeably richer than they were before, and their children are better off. And it's kind of the American success stories. I'm not sure what the complaint is.
Yeah, but they say it's not fair that this person had this and I don't have that. Because I have talked to some people like this. They say like, I deserve $1 million house. I deserve a like a bank account full of $50 billion, or I deserve a big truck, a Maserati, a mansion, and all that stuff. And when people bring up these talking points, they don't actually bring up like what exactly they did or how they use it as a drive in order to get better. They say, "Oh, if we not rich, then nobody else can be rich." It's more of a equity type thing instead of an equality thing, and it's actually pretty annoying when people say that, because even doing this YouTube stuff, like I'm working my way up to become a much more bigger platform, so I can reach the big guys, not a million subs in just 2 years, but maybe to at least 10K, 20K, 30K. Like I'm going from my warehouse job to doing this when I get some time, if I'm not too tired. But
hustling, basically, yeah.
That's me working my way up to try to be better. A lot of people say, and when I ask some guys like this, like, what did you do to try to be better? They say, well, I worked hard. What else? Because you got to do way more than working hard. And when I ask this talking point, they say, well, I'm pretty sure this guy didn't work hard enough. He was probably born into it. When in actuality, the amount of people who are rich right now, they started off in poverty. They just took some sacrifices that a lot of people don't want to take. And that's one thing from the economic side and the capitalism side that a lot of people don't want to see. That people make sacrifices. A lot of people don't want to make sacrifices in order to be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I would say with regards to capitalism, or let's put it this way, I would say that it's not helpful to compare yourself to someone else and ask, why don't I have it? And I don't think capitalism gives you anything you necessarily deserve, but it doesn't stop you from attaining whatever you work hard, work smart, whatever you want to attain. There's essentially, or in America at least, there's a limitless potential or maximum potential that you can. Whereas in other countries in Europe, other countries in South America, there certainly is a limit to what you're able to do, how much you're able to earn, how much you're able to keep from what you own.
Like what? Like a property and all that stuff?
High taxes, can't do certain business, high regulations, that you can't, even start working in something before you jump through a lot of hoops. Although America would also have regulations to some degree.
Okay, you said certain companies, like what certain companies can people in the UK not open up compared to the ones in the US?
I'm not sure with regards to opening a company. Well, it depends. Like I can't open a bank. I can't open a financial business without going through a lot of regulations and passing a lot of certificates. I may never be, even if I want to open one myself, I may never be able to unless I know people in the business. But apart from just like opening a business from scratch, like you can open a business, let's say selling to Europe, just like product or electronic product, and there'll be like a whole list of regulations that make it very, very difficult to do so and very expensive to do so through customs. So you don't have that kind of stuff in the US, I imagine. And there isn't necessarily a lot of things stopping you. I mean, maybe there's more regulation than I would like America to have, but overall, it's kind of like the stuff is there. You can go get it. You don't deserve any of it, but you can go get it. Nothing stops.
Yeah, you say you could like the only way you can open up a bank in UK is through regulations. Does that mean you
No,
can
open up like my own bank. Sorry, not a bank account.
Yeah. So does that mean you can only open up a bank during like statehood or going through the government first? Because there are some places in the U.S., some people in the U.S. who have opened up personal banks. Start off small. Some of them are growing up higher because they don't trust the big banks anymore because they're going off with these interest fees and all that stuff. So they have made the sacrifices and gotten all these certificates and all these permits in order to do it. So people in the UK are not able to do that.
Honestly, I can't even, and I've worked in the finance industry for a bit. I can't even imagine myself passing through all the hoops to get the license. I think not only would I need the license, but I need to pay money like to hire like lots of people just to stay in the regulations that I need to abide by. So I can't even imagine it. Yeah, no, it seems like it seems impossible. I'm not entirely familiar, but I'm a little bit familiar, and it seems impossible.
Okay, so yeah,
like I'll have to persuade like investors. I'll have to persuade people familiar with the industry. I have to know people in government to make it smoother to get the licenses. Yeah, I don't see how I can.
That's the main problem. You can't open up your own community bank. You have to go through the state. You have to go to the governor or you have to go to the city in order to do it. Which they don't really do that with the big franchise banks in the U.S. They just say, oh, it's a big franchise bank like Wells Fargo, Chase, American U.S. Bank. Like they see those type of businesses and they'll openly take them because it might bring in some customers or it might bring in some people on their side of the city or they side of the state. So they don't really trust the whole community banks thing because it's not a big name or it's not a bank that's tied with the federal government. So I would say it's very hard to open up a bank, especially trying to go through all these regulations, getting the licenses and permits and all that stuff. But they don't really do that when it comes to the big franchises. So that is
the big franchises. They'll probably have everything in place already for all the regulation stuff. They know what they they have people doing it in their headquarters or whatnot. So they're all set. They just need to open a branch somewhere.
Yeah, I can understand. Like they're all set. Like they got people behind doors, but there's also some banks who are working with government to pay them off with interest fees and all that stuff, trying to get more out of people. A lot of community banks don't really do that. When they give out loans, is more for the community instead of the Federal Reserve or the Federal Bureau.
I would imagine that the community bank would be more integrated with the community. Otherwise, that would make sense to me because it would give it like a sort of advantage over like big faceless bank. Community bank would be like a more hands-on approach with its people.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people in government don't like that. They don't want the community bank trying to fund their own neighborhood and try to make it better. That's why there's not a lot of community banks right now, especially a lot of places in disenfranchised communities like St. Louis, Missouri, where I was born. The economics there, the economy there is disappointing because every time I go back there, it's always another abandoned building because there's a lot of infrastructure in St. Louis, Missouri that can be used, and it's right there in downtown, like warehouses that are shut down, companies that can be used to try to make it better. But because we got some these people in power in St. Louis, they would rather depend on outside of the city instead of working on the inside, where the infrastructure can be used to build the city a lot more better. But they would rather focus on outside sources instead of inside sources. And I'm guessing that's also where the whole community banks and the U.S. banks come in place. They rather focus on the outside sources than the inside sources.
Is that area, in your opinion, a good area to invest in, for a business to invest in?
No, I would. Well, if you probably open up a small restaurant, yes. But as far as anything else big, not so much, because there is a high crime in St. Louis, downtown St. Louis, which is the government's fault, because they pretty much just gave up on the city that they destroyed in the first place. Because St. Louis, from the 50s and 60s, there was more infrastructure for disenfranchised people. People were trying to work their way up, but then the government came along and completely ruined it, because they didn't like how these communities was going up against them or making money without them. So I'm guessing that's where all this craziness from the Missouri River getting tainted and all that stuff, or downtown St. Louis right now is nothing but potholes, crack street roads and all that stuff. It's all money coming from outside, but they never actually do anything with the money, because they don't care about the city or the people who believe in big government, and big government is not doing anything about it.
Can I ask a question? Is this the same area that I have in mind that has a lot of large companies working at the dock? Or is this a different area?
Are you saying by the arch?
No, like is there like an area next to the, my geography in America is probably terrible, but is it like an area next to like a river or a lake or a stream or something, where there's like a lot of warehouses and businesses, but this is the same, and at the same time there's right next to it a lot of poor people?
Yeah.
I think I've heard of this. And is it the case that well, you've mentioned there's a high crime, so technically the local government is giving benefits to the companies that are there, but it's not investing in the local community.
Yeah, and the local communities are like keep on getting washed away, and me who was born there, it's a sad picture to look at. To look at, all these people in the city stay in this one particular place because they feel like they have nowhere else to go, because how are they gonna start a business trying to start up, because some people don't know how to do that, and that's where the whole economics and capitalism talking point comes in. They could work their way up. They could probably bring some people along with them, and they could try to work their way out to build them an empire. But a lot of people don't have the mentality to do that. They rather stay where they at because they feel like they have nowhere else to go or nothing else to do.
I see. Can you explain to me why there's a lot of crime in the area, or how it happened that there's a lot of crime? Because obviously that's disincentivizing businesses.
So,
and what kind of crime is
it? It's gang violence, mugging, selling drugs, and it's mainly in the city where it is that those kind of crimes are susceptible. But it's also to the point where it was orchestrated by the federal government to put forth some policies that don't help out disenfranchised communities, because they feel like those communities was not really worth anything. And then it's also the businesses that was there that had they money driven away by other companies that got bigger, because St. Louis is a is a big infrastructure type of platform, because it does have the warehouses, it does have the history behind it when it comes to like maybe professional wrestling, stocks and all that stuff. But it's also that a football stadium in St. Louis. You know, they moved the St. Louis Rams to Los Angeles because nobody was actually supporting St. Louis, and as this city was losing money, the cities that was that was being used for Hollywood movies or news, you know, they got the most news articles, because there's not really a lot of news articles from St. Louis mainstream. Is only the local news. But when you look at the Los Angeles news, it's all a mainstream, or even New York City, and they took money out of this city, or they took out visitors from this city and brought them to these other states or cities that have almost the same amount of crime rate. Problem is, a lot of people just don't talk about the crime rate in St. Louis. They also talk about more crime rate in Chicago than St. Louis, and St. Louis is more has a higher crime rate than Chicago does, especially when it comes to like
does it?
like homicide.
The more than Chicago.
Huh?
St. Louis has more crime than Chicago.
St. Louis is more crime than Chicago. Like Chicago is top 5 most dangerous cities, but St. Louis is top 3.
Oh wow! I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah.
I thought St. Louis had like a music scene to some degree.
No, they also do. St. Louis is also a big history when it comes to jazz, but a lot of people nowadays don't even listen to jazz. They say jazz is boring, even though it's more relaxing.
Jazz is not boring.
Yeah, it's more
relaxing. Yeah,
it's boring.
It's nice.
Yeah, and that's what the bad thing is, because I know economically, if the right person got into the job, St. Louis could be a
culture, cultural hub.
Cultural hub for the people who still live there. Problem is, anything the federal government touches, or anything that people do that is good or great that doesn't involve the federal government, this federal government gets ticked off and does anything in their power to destroy it. So that's why they put forth all these policies in place. Like you can't open this up without the state government or the federal government's approval. You can't open this up. You can't open that up. Basically, the only thing you can really open right now in St. Louis is probably a food shop. Food store. That's pretty much it. But banks and all that stuff, nobody is really opening a bank up in a place with high crime, because because the government doesn't care, and also some people in that same city doesn't care about what happens to the next guy, even though they could be their neighbors.
Technically, crime is the government. That's their job to reduce. And if you don't have that, then you don't have investment. People won't come in. They won't pay property tax. The schools won't be very good because of it, because the property taxes are low. It's like a vicious cycle.
No, yeah, that's also the thing though. Like the amount of taxes that do get taken out of people's paychecks every month. I mean, not every month, every paycheck. The streets in St. Louis are still really bad, and also the policing is really bad in St. Louis as well. So the whole the police need taxes, or the state needs taxes in order to fix these schools and fix these streets. And the public schools in St. Louis are some of the worst. Like they don't really actually teach you anything unless you're getting homeschool or you're getting taught by private school. And a lot of people don't see school choice as a valuable option, because it may be expensive, even though there are some affordable private schools. So that's also a key factor of why some people in St. Louis are don't do that well when it comes to economics, because I remember reading the story where some girl opened up her own hair shop in St. Louis. One day she got mugged. And here's the thing, it was in her own community, like a black community, because she wanted to bring some money into the black community. Yeah, so a couple days went by, and her store ended up getting mugged. So she called the cops, put out an investigation, try to find her missing items. A couple days later, the girl was shot dead at the young age of 19.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 19.
Because she told the police, or why
Because-
did she get shot dead?
Because she told the police that somebody robbed her of her stuff in this hair salon, and she opened up a store in her own community trying to better it, and some people felt like, you know what, since I ain't gotta pay for none of this, I'm just gonna steal it. And that's also a main point that a lot of people from the socialist side think. Well, if a person is poor, then the best thing to do is steal. But what's the point of stealing some wigs and shooting a 19-year-old girl who just opened up a nail not a hair salon, trying to put some flavor back into the community. How does any of this end up making her lose life, and some guys commit a crime and taking her life away? That's one thing that I do not get when it comes to these talking points.
Yeah, obviously it was a very upsetting story. I think that a lot of people on the left, and obviously socialists, think that poverty and crime are related. I did some research on this. Criminologists, so this is like from an economics point of view, that people would say that poverty and crime are connected. From a criminologist point of view, there's a correlation, but it's very weak. Now, sometimes it doesn't show up. Criminologists will be much more interested in personality type and like perhaps previous education, perhaps neurological something or other. But obviously, like, you can have a situation, let's say there's three economic classes, like poor, middle, and upper, and the poor will have slightly more crime, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're poor, like 100% of poor people would commit crime. It's just like a minority of them. And you'll have like roughly the same minority in the middle who commit crime and in the upper that commit crime. So if the richer people that have money still commit crime, then it's not necessarily the case that poverty always is the reason. It could be like if you're desperate, but shooting a girl, 19-year-old, you're not gaining any money from that. You're not getting any bread from that to survive. There's no point. It's a senseless crime in a sense.
Right. Yeah. It's a very much a sense of crime, and it's also like she was just trying to better her community, and then I'm guessing since the state didn't do their job well, the woman, the 19-year-old woman, ended up losing her life because some people didn't like the fact that she snitched, or she told the police that somebody robbed her property, took her property, because she was trying to build some generational wealth for herself and maybe her future kids. And this also goes into the thing about churches and all that stuff, because there are some churches who do not want to get involved with the state, but the state just wants to get involved in every little thing, because if they see donations or they see money, they want it. And a lot of people from the left say, like, hey, look, we're right. Like, capitalism is a huge mistake because the government, is getting involved with every one of these little things, and they want every ounce of money out there. That's not really capitalism. That's more statism. They want to get involved with every little thing to get money. That's not capitalism, because capitalism is more of we sharing our little circle. If I'm the top dog here and I'm getting all this money, I want to give my lesser employees a percentage of it and make it work. But when it comes to the government, it's more statism, and it's more what's the word I'm looking for? I think you might know this when the state gets involved with every little thing that happens.
Statism is a good word, and like an interventionist government, or I'll just go with statehood. Yeah, so I don't know how familiar you are with U.S. government policies, but the state is not supposed to get involved with churches and all that stuff. But when it came
Yeah, it's like it's literally against the law. But you see some people still doing it, and you see the government in cahoots with the Catholic Church, with the popes and all that stuff, making those Catholic churches with the popes making over $2 million a year for just running the church, getting all these donations. Government takes a little bit of that, and anything that the Pope does, whether it be some heinous crime involving the kid, they pretty much get off scot-free. Like they don't even bat it out because the government is getting a little bit of that money, and that's what it all comes down to. It like the whole this is not economics. This is more socialistic ideologies, and some people don't see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically about the Catholic Church per se. I'm not familiar, but if you have situations where rich organizations are paying the government or paying the government a little to, not look at their business, then yeah, that is cronyism.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like one Catholic church. It was like multitudes of them, like across the whole country, and
like a factory for pedophiles.
Yeah. Not saying it's all of them. Not saying it's all of them.
Don't kill me, Catholics, please. I'm joking. I don't really know what's going on at all. We don't even have Catholics in the UK. Everyone's Protestant. So
what's that?
Protestants is like another Christian. I don't know. I'm not religious. Another Christian sect. Like you have some Catholics in Ireland, and you have like pockets of Catholics in the UK, but it's mainly Protestant.
There was a lot of religions that go towards the same God, but they say like it's not the same.
Oh, they kill each other all the time. Oh my God! Like Catholics and Protestants, they hate each other, or they used to at least.
Yeah, it's also a Baptist, and I think some people,
Quakers.
Yeah, Baptists, and some. I think there's also another religion in Asia that goes with the same God. Yeah, Buddhists.
Not the same God, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like they all, it's like these type of individuals worship the same God, but then they go on neck to neck talk about, oh, your Bible is wrong, your Bible is wrong. Like, can we not like try to talk it out like some civilized human beings?
Can we just get along? Yeah, it's the Abrahamic religion, so Judaism, Christianity, and Islam they all stem from Abraham.
Right. Yeah. It's a crazy world we live in. How much time you got? Because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, it's fine. I'm good.
Oh yeah. So you messaged me that you want to get like more like you was more of a economics because that's your forte. So what is something about economics that you can teach me? Because I know I don't know every little thing about economics. Because I got a book by Thomas Sowell. I don't know if you.
That's already a good start, man. That's a very good start.
Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell is great.
Yeah. So it's also some more things that I don't know, like maybe who hijacked the term economics or capitalism. Some people say it was Rothbard. Some people say it was I think it was not Thomas Sowell maybe, but can you give me like some history behind like how economics can is in ties with capitalism?
Yeah, so originally like it started with Adam Smith and the Wealth of Nations around the same time the US was started. Adam Smith in Scotland, again United Kingdom represent. Started a book called Wealth of Nations. So basically, around the time you had a lot of not capitalism but mercantilism, which was kind of like the government, much more government and much more aristocrats. It's starting to look like capitalism, but it's not yet capitalism by any sense. And he wrote this book saying, look at all these wealthy nations, or how do nations acquire wealth. And essentially, if you follow these observations that I'm making, then countries will be wealthier. The people in those countries will be wealthier. They'll have a higher standard of living, so on and so forth. And Adam Smith was basically the father of economics, or the grandfather of economics. And then he did not coin the term capitalism. The person who did coin the term capitalism was Karl Marx. And he coined the term capitalism in a sense to attack it, like to strawman it, and then like, push the strawman over. But what happened was that course of time continued. Karl Marx was died in 1880 something. And in the early 19 something, people started to take socialism more seriously. There was socialism, utopian socialism before Karl Marx, and there was some socialism in America before or around the same time, but they didn't hear of Marx as well in the South. But in start of the 1900s, people started taking socialism more seriously, and basically what happened was the term, I'm just staying on the term capitalism. Capitalism was readopted as a good concept because socialism did so badly around the first half of the 20th century. So capitalism is now, even though it was coined by its own detractors, it's now a more favorable term. Maybe or maybe not, but that's what it is.
Yeah, and when people bring up capitalism, they try. I hear some talking points where they say, "Oh, capitalism, socialism," since people like Karl Marx used it as a means to try to spread go around the world or try to gain some revenue. A lot of people, some people from the progressive side or the social side saying the thing that Karl Marx did is no different than what capitalism is doing. And the thing was if I recall, Karl Marx was a notorious warmonger, right? Or is that somebody different?
No, I don't think he was necessarily a warmonger. He was, well, yes and no, actually. Let's put it this way. He wasn't a warmonger in the sense that he liked countries attacking other countries, but he was happy for the workers to violently overthrow the capitalist class and take means of production. I would say that in a sense, Karl Marx was like a sort of system builder. He had a very sophisticated system that he wanted capitalism to evolve into. The evolve into comes from the person who influenced Marx a lot, which was Hegel. But he didn't like Hegel's idealist and spiritual kind of angle, so he secularized or materialized Hegel and brought it into the material world. That's a bit of a philosophical slant, but if you hear these words in the future, you know what it's connected to. Okay. But Karl Marx has a sophisticated system, and people, or intellectual people today, they kind of like it. Intellectual people usually gravitate, well, I wouldn't say all, but in some intellectual people who like Marxism, they gravitate to it because it appeals to them, and they think they know better than the regular people, the small people. They're the intellectuals. They know what's right for everyone else, and that's why they think that this is the way forward. They're just waiting for all the workers to gain class consciousness and follow them into the bright future.
Okay, so earlier you pointed out
too much there.
No, it's all good. So earlier you pointed out that Karl Marx used economics as a way to overthrow capitalism. Was he trying to overthrow it through statehood, or was he trying to just go to war, destroy capitalist companies?
So he I'll just be a bit careful about what I'm going to say now. So he didn't necessarily say that he's not, well, it's not like he's necessarily advocating for it, although he is kind of, but he's saying, he's predicting that this is what will happen with or without. So he's saying the way that history evolves in a material way, that at some point, capitalism will reach a late stage of capitalism, and it will be replaced by the next stage, which will be socialism, and the next stage after will be communism.
So was Karl Marx more of a was he more of a intellectual supporter of economics? Because from what you say, he tried to get rid of capitalism, And
Hmm.
some people, I know you said like he predicted that capitalism might be tied in with socialism, which there are some socialists that do use capitalist means, but it doesn't mean necessarily mean it's capitalism. So you say he predicted this. So what? So
Yeah.
what's some stuff about Rothbard said about state socialism and capitalism? Does that tie into what Karl Marx said?
I only know a little Rothbard, so you're gonna have to help me on the Rothbard side. You may know more than I do.
Yeah. So he said uh like people like Karl Marx. They was more on the statehood side, the statehood side of capitalism, where
Hmm.
he tried to get some people in charge to try to prevent certain things. I may be wrong here, and Karl Marx was more on the line of overthrowing the government, even though he was also pointing out some things about statehood. And
Yeah. So I'll try to explain. So if you're using this to debate a socialist, it won't really work. But I'll try to explain what Karl Marx's idea was. So Karl Marx wanted the workers to, if I can put it in a good way, I suppose, mystically realize that they're all together in one collective group as a class. They're all the same and they all share similar consciousness in some way. I'm using bad terminology here.
right,
But he wanted the working class to gain class consciousness, rise up against the capitalist class, and take all the means of production from all the factories, all the warehouses, all the stuff that investors from far away, sitting in their comfortable houses, kind of own shares in, or they invested in, but they're not doing any of the work themselves. They all that would be taken away from them and given to the workers. With regards to the state, the idea was that these workers would be the state, would run the state. So an example could be a committee of that represents certain workers in each sector of the economy would sit together and organize and plan the economy. So it won't be a market economy; it will be a planned economy. No money or maybe labor vouchers or something like that, but essentially no money. And this committee would like say how much of what goes where in terms of resources, like how much rubber goes here, how much steel goes there, all sorts of stuff like that. They would plan that, like a sort of like a large company or large corporation. In a corporation, like things move, like resources are allocated between different branches, between different sectors, and there isn't any money between this. People don't trade anything. It's just like some manager says this should go there. So that's what the model that he was using. He was basically, he liked the idea of a large company, and he wanted to apply that to a country.
okay, but
So
but wouldn't this talking point go with some socialist ideology? Because you see a lot of socialists saying like the workers should overthrow the top guys, since the top guy is not being fair with their wages. So wouldn't this talking point go with them, or are they just looking at it the wrong way, or they wording it the wrong way?
well,
Where
they want to get rid of the top guy and they want the workers to own the factory. So the top guy loses everything and is stripped of all his assets.
and when that also goes to the point where, since this guy got overthrown, the company is in shambles. Nobody knows what went on behind the scenes. I feel like that would also be a big deal on how this company that's got overthrown by the workers, it would collapse in most likely a matter of weeks or months. When that also go with like that talking point.
You would be right, but they would say that the big guy didn't do anything. He doesn't actually do any of the work. He doesn't know anything, and the workers are the one that do all the work and the important productive stuff in the company. So if they simply take over the company, it could run smoothly without them.
Yeah, they say they could say they blame the big guy,
No,
but
I'm just telling you what they would say. I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm just letting you know what they would think.
okay. Yeah, that like I can
They
I
generally
can understand your
think
point.
They generally think managers do nothing. They generally think the investors or shareholders do nothing. The CEOs do nothing. And the workers are the real people. The workers in the factory, the janitors, these are the real people that run the company. They are the most productive people in the company.
Now, don't get me wrong.
And
They do keep the company in check on the floor side, but when it comes to the office side, that position goes to the owner, the big guy, the big woman. It goes on them. But
I like your political correctness there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like a lot of people say like I remember this one debate where Young Ripper was, I don't know if you know Young Ripper, it was July.
Oh, I know him well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, apparently he had this one debate with a Bernie Sanders supporters where he said the Bernie Sanders supporter said a CEO of a company is a fascist, and I'm like that makes no sense. Like, because this guy obviously didn't know what fascism means. Like I'm a newbie in this, and I could probably tell more about fascism than this guy does, because this guy he was just throwing out like nonsense, like a CEO of a company is a fascist, a billionaire is a fascist, a millionaire is a fascist, but he didn't actually give like no examples about what a fascism actually was. He just said it because it sounded popular.
Yeah, so it's a very good example of what you're just giving. So basically, socialists, and to some degree like more far leftists, they would throw like a very loaded, emotionally loaded term and walk away, not explain what it is. And if you see like there's all these YouTube channels that promote socialist messaging.
Right.
They just like, it's a kind of like smear, and it's smear one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and they build like a narrative very quickly, but they don't feel the need to justify it or explain why or give any evidence or any statistics. They just throw like some kind of smear, or like saying property is theft, and walk away. Now you're in a position you're gonna have to like debunk them, and like they just said like a sentence, and they're like, they've got everyone emotionally angry, and that's kind of what they're aiming to do.
Yeah, it's like the whole minimum wage should be at $25, or rent should be abolished. People should pay other people's student loans, even though they probably didn't go to college. Like those talking points, and they say these kind of talking points, but they don't actually know like how to execute them, because all it sounds like is just money being thrown away, and private owners are just going to get the crap end of the stick. Like they're not going to be able to pay their workers or pay their bills if rent is free and minimum wage becomes $25 to $30. Even though we all know if it goes up that much, the expenses are also going to go up, because anytime they raise something, the federal government rate some type of wage always goes up with it, whether it be rent, groceries, meat, chicken, eggs, or milk, and those type of stuff. When we try to point those type of talking points out, they say, well, that just means like that's corporatism. Like that's the corporations raising the wages. Like I'm like, no.
Oh, what they're talking about now, you mean?
Yeah, like
with the gas prices,
food prices. The freaking dollar menu at a fast food joint is not $1 anymore. It's now $2. They blink. They saying it's all in the act of corporatism.
And yeah, again, they're like, you can call them basically flat earth economic. Like they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just like saying something and saying an emotionally charged term and not explaining it, not proving anything. Or like they'll just like dig in their heels and say, no, these corporations are evil. And like, look, we know that stuff costs more now. We know that there's certainly in Europe, there's a huge issues with energy costs, with around a shortage in natural gas, which Europeans and my country as well have a real issue right now. And poor people or people on fixed incomes like the elderly, If you raise their heating bills by like 2-3 times, they can't afford that. They're gonna have to start making decisions between food and heat. And at some point, like the people who make the food, they also use fossil fuels, they also use natural gas, and that increases the cost of food. And their workers have to pay energy bills, their workers have to pay rents, and that increases the price of making the food. So it's basically inflation to some degree, but I would have to say that this particular inflation can either be from governments printing a lot of money during the time when they told everyone to stay at home, and it can also be inflation around green energy policies that increase the price of fossil fuels, natural gas, petrol. Sorry, what do you call petrol in America? Fuel.
Fuel.
Fuel. So all that kind of stuff. Look, people need to, just as like as a general, people need to drive to their work. Farmers need to use fuel for the combine harvester. They need to use natural gas for synthetic fertilizer. Oh, that stuff goes up in price. Your food goes up in price.
Yeah, I would say it's a means of both, because what the U.S. government is doing now is like they're doing so much miraculous spending, and they are putting forth this green new energy deal. Even though they said like the plan for the infrastructure of the green new energy is not going to start until 2035, around that time. And they say, well, the best way to end like fossil fuels and get ready for green new energy is to get rid of all the fossil fuels and get rid of all the gas. And we're gonna get, in 10 years, we're gonna get in preparation of the green new energy. Even though a lot of people are saying like this is not a good idea, because you're putting the middle and low class at risk, because the big guys, they have money to buy Teslas and all this, and Teslas and all those green energy cars, because the lowest price for a Tesla is $52,000, and the middle and low class people don't have that kind of money, and they expect you to have that kind of money, even though they're also the same ones to bring forth these policies, these federal bills filled with pork that gives more money back to the government than it does the people. They put forth these policies. They say, oh, well, we're trying our best. We're trying everything that we do except actually doing the right thing and just getting the heck out of the way and letting the people do what's best for them. Because I agree. Because they truly believe that if they just get involved with anything, it'll be better. Even though ever since Joe Biden won, stocks have been bad, crypto has been bad, gas has been bad. Now a lot of this vote well under Trump too, because he also did sign some big bills that was completely unnecessary, and especially with Joe Biden funding the Ukraine war right now, and there's news coming out that Russia is about to start World War III, and he's still funding the war.
Okay, so let me go back a bit before I'll address the World War III last. But so I wouldn't worry particularly about Tesla cars, because right now in the UK, and I think in other parts in Europe, it costs the same amount of money to recharge a Tesla as it is to put petrol in a regular car.
Right.
Because the energy prices are so high, so it's not a super attractive option now to buy an electric car anyway.
Nowadays, if you were like on the person on the left, then if you have a green energy car, you're apparently on top of the world, like Stephen Cabal or the AOCs, like the Nina Turners, like they all own energy cars, and now they think they better than everybody else, and a lot of us are saying that this doesn't make you better than us. It just means like you're getting more money. That doesn't mean you're better than us.
No, yeah, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like, if their plan was that fuel prices will go up intentionally, let's say, even if you put a tax on them to make them more expensive, you put a carbon tax that other companies can't emit as much, then it's still a tax on the fuel itself that you are burning in your car.
Right.
And if the hope was that the fuel would become expensive and you'll decide to buy that electric car, now recharging that electric car is the same as cost as putting a tank, filling up a tank of gas.
Well, actually,
So
it takes longer to charge up an
and it takes
electric car
longer,
than the
and
gas
there's
car.
less charging stations. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. Um, yeah, with regards to messing with the economy, certainly I would agree that it hasn't been great. Then again, we had like closing of the economy, which wasn't great either. With regards to World War III, so Russia right now is mobilizing the reserve. So up till now, it was the young people, like the up to 21-year-olds,
Right.
18 to 21, and they're apparently wiped out. So now they're bringing in the reserves. Typically, reserves are a much bigger number because, like everyone, well, actually, I'm not sure, but everyone like kind of went through the army. But like from 22 to the age of 40, there's like a much larger group of people than the younger 18 to 21. But a lot of Russians are not trying to get enlisted. They're trying to flee to either the south of Russia or catch a plane somewhere else. I think some have already left, but not like they are now. And then like they're giving the people who are enlisting, they're giving them like this rusty 70-year-old AK-47 kept like in a swamp for 50 years. Like basically you need a tetanus shot just to hold it, and good luck.
That,
And they're not very happy about that.
that's also the same. I would say that that's the same way in the U.S. because uh, there's apparently a poll out or a study out right now that a lot more people in the U.S. are refusing to join the government because they don't want to just be shipped out to war to like under wars that ain't got nothing to do with us. And it's like, and a lot
Yeah.
of people are freaking out, saying like, so then who's gonna protect us if people are not joining in? Well, maybe we can get these politicians to stop advocating for war. Then maybe we wouldn't need to ship people overseas and most likely get killed. But you try to bring that
Yeah, I
up.
think
Yeah, you bring that up. You apparently you're against saving people when that's literally not the argument. A lot of people some people try to throw that in like since you don't want to roll, you don't want to protect people. This is why we have the Second Amendment. This is why we have the right to bear arms. A lot of people don't even like using guns, but they expect some people expect another person to go overseas and do it for them because that's really what they was told was going to happen when it came to the U.S. military.
yeah, I mean I think so. I think it's justified to say that the US shouldn't necessarily send troops over because it's not their fight, and there's not a reason to like endanger American lives. But you can fund the Ukrainian side, and they can risk their lives, but with like better protection, better weapons and all that. I don't see necessarily that being terrible, but some people like libertarians are upset that any money is leaving the country, but that at the very least like American lives are not being affected. Um
Well, you say
so that
you say it's not being affected, but they keep on printing out money and they're making
yeah, okay,
they
I
make
agree.
the
I'm just
value of the dollar go down go up.
That's fair. I'm not disputing that. Yes, they are sending American money that Americans could be using right now. I've no that is true. I'm just saying that like this is like if you want to defend, if you want to help your allies, so all that jazz, and then you can send them some money. But it's not like Afghanistan where they're like sending over troops for a long period of time or setting up bases. Plus, Russia has nuclear weapons, so the whole situation is kind of very iffy. And people are saying that Russia started all this stuff because of NATO expanding towards Russia,
Right.
and now both Finland and Ukraine are applying for NATO. And I'm not exactly sure what the end game is, but I do know that Putin isn't interested necessarily in money. He has some sort of either megalomaniac or spiritual ambitions here that it can't be money related. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know if it's money related, like you said. it may be about he's trying to get this one piece of land back, or this one state back in cahoots with in Russia, because it Ukraine in splitting apart from Russia, and I'm guessing he is going back to the old times where Ukraine was part of Russia. I'm guessing that's what it is from some stories I've heard when it came to Russia, NATO, and Ukraine. But that might just be an opinion piece. Some people say Putin is doing it because he's hungry for war. He's hungry for blood. Some people say what Zelensky is doing is patriotic, even though there are a lot of reports coming out saying that Zelensky has not really given that money to the people. He's more about taking photo shoots, and I don't really like that stories like this are coming out, because if Ukraine is supposedly our ally, and we're just sending money over, while the Zelensky is taking Photoshop pics to try to appease to the American social media, then in my opinion, that would be a waste of money being sent over, because he's not actually doing it to help out his crew, to help out his army. He's more on the lines of just getting free money.
I would say this. I'd like to believe the money is being put to good use. I have noticed, like I've on social media, that the Ukrainians are being very thrifty with how they attack the Russians. So, for example, they get all these consumer drones. They kind of like attach some kind of handmade bomb to it. The drone flies over some area, and you can see it like with a camera on the drone, and it releases the bomb and does some damage to the occupying forces there. So I'd like to think that in regards to the money that America gives them, it is being put to use. The fact that Zelensky is taking photo ops and raising money and raising awareness, that is his job. So, I mean, he wants to be like a face that helps or persuades the international community to help his country, which is in his interest, and he needs to do what he needs to do. I'm
Okay.
sure that like
So
technically he's like he is a comedian. He has been a comedian in the past, and he probably knows how to like work with Hollywood types, politicians potentially, because he is one. And if you're raising awareness and raising money for his country, that's what he's trying to do, then that's technically fine.
Oh, you say he's bringing in awareness, but we already have a mainstream media pretty much doing that. We already have
not America, not just America, but like also neighboring countries. Ukraine.
Yeah, I've also seen this one poll of money getting sent over to Ukraine by other countries, and the U.S. was sent over $45 billion, while all these other countries only sent forth $5 million. So you can say it's about spreading awareness, but the biggest donor for the Ukraine war is United States, and it doesn't seem like that money is actually going. I may be wrong here, but that money does not really seem like it's going to the Ukrainian army. It's more going into the pockets of the politicians and the president. And that's one thing that I don't like seeing when I'm on social media and people are talking about the Ukraine. You see Joe Biden sending over 44 billion, but all these other countries are only sending like 5 million. So it's just wasted money. It's just a lot of wasted money, in my opinion, and also some other people's opinions. It's not that he sent money; it's that he sent too much while the United States is going through a recession and inflation. That's the main problem that a lot of people are bringing up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a point that you can make with full utility. I can fully appreciate the argument with regards to that America is giving way more money than everyone else. Like you guys have been doing that since day one, since 1907. You guys have sent money to everyone in all of Europe, to Russia. You guys sent like when Stalin was fighting Hitler, you guys sent like Stalin like 180 billion in the day.
That was
in 180 billion
that
worked in
was
the
also a
day.
mistake as well. I don't know why we
I'm
even
just
did
saying,
that.
you guys are spreading the word, the Marshall Plan, yeah, around the time, or like, what was it? You guys had a recession. You guys had your depression
Right.
at the start of depression, and like you were sending money to other countries to then prop up, to then help the businesses, the corporations, sorry, from America to work with them more efficiently. So spending money, if you're complaining about that now, it's a bit late, but you know, you can rein that in if you want, if you elect a few libertarian Ron Pauls or whatnot, Paul Ryans, Ron Pauls, whatever. You could probably rein that in a bit more, but that shouldn't really surprise you at this stage.
But that was more politicians doing it for the benefits of themselves than the people actually saying like, yeah, let's go ahead and send all this money overseas. Why would any of us need it when we're going through the Great Depression? That's more politicians doing it for
You guys are altruistic with other people's money. It's fine.
huh?
Politicians like, yeah, I have all this money. I need to do something with it. I can't just give it back to the people in the form of lower taxes. I have to spend it, and this is how you spend it.
Yeah, that's the problem. You got these crony politicians sending, instead of getting that money back to the people, they rather just send it overseas where for people who probably don't even need it. Let me just get this straight, because there are some countries that do need help. Problem is, that's more on the government, the foreign governments. That's not on us, on the people. You can say the same thing with the UK people. Like if y'all are going through something and y'all need money, y'all need better wages for food.
Are you giving out some? Yeah, we'll take some.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's not my call to make, because I'm not the head dude in charge. And even if I was the head dude in charge, we would have to come through some sort of agreement where if
we'll send you over some tea in a boat.
Yeah,
how about that?
Yeah, you send some over as us. We make it a fair exchange.
We'll give you a tea, like lots of barrels of tea in a boat. We'll send it over. Is that okay for payment?
What am I going to do with some tea?
You don't know the reference I'm saying?
Nah, not really. I'm not really conversing.
So before the war, we think obviously England controlled America. We were the best ever, and you guys just decided, you know, you're being spoiled and you didn't like the British, and then we sent over some tea and we said you have to buy this tea, and you were like, hell no, and you threw the tea overboard. And you said, we're not paying for this stuff. It was good tea though. It was really good. I don't know why you threw it overboard. Just imagine, you could have had the Queen this whole time, like, you know, governing over you in the Commonwealth. But anyway, you decided to go your own way. It's okay. I'm not angry. But yeah, that's the reference with the tea.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I will say that. That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's like and yeah, to keep on going with the point where is to keep it more of a fair exchange. What Joe Biden is doing, it's not really a fair exchange. It's more, well, me and my son was in a partnership with some people over here in Ukraine where we got a prosecutor fired.
Yeah.
You know that story, like that. Like that's also a big speculation about why Joe Biden do it, because some Ukrainian prime minister did him a favor. Now he's doing them a favor, sending off all this money in the war, which it's again.
So let me add some layers to that. So Ukraine in general and Eastern Europe, I mean, not the most, well, it's a bit corrupt. Let's put it that way, right?
Right.
And I don't really know why Hunter Biden was on the board of something, but obviously he's getting money from it, and that, I think that was the story with regards to Ukraine. I don't know necessarily if that is the root cause of why he's sending money over to Ukraine. Obviously, because Russia's being naughty, and it's an international community thing that they're trying to support, like, the people in the Ukraine. By the way, it's not like Britain hasn't given any money or any equipment. We've given them like these really special lasers that it's like anti-rocket or anti-tank lasers, and the Ukrainians really love them. They say like they're state-of-the-art equipment there.
Well,
And
that's pretty cool.
yeah, it was. I was impressed. But yeah, it's like, it's basically Russia against the world, and everyone's just funneling money to Ukraine as the fall guy. Like, yeah, just take our money, but don't expect us to actually show up and send any troops. But yeah, we're okay with sending you a bit of money or a lot of money.
Well, Russia is a public enemy number one when it comes to like when it comes to the world, because even China doesn't even want anything to do with what Russia is doing. Which is really
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
because China is
yeah.
also a communist regime.
China is not doing very well. China is had years and years and years of double-digit economic growth, and it looks like this year they would actually have a recession.
Right.
Now, even the numbers that come from China, you can't really fully trust them because they're the ones giving you the number. But they had the construction, like the building construction sector collapsed. There was a very large company there that went bankrupt. The tech sector is gone because the government didn't like some of the billionaires there, so they restricted it and all the shit. So for example, you had shares in Alibaba, which is an e-commerce website in a sense, from China to other countries. That lost 99% of its value. So if you had any stock in that, I feel sorry for you. And a lot of young kids are now unemployed. There's a whole movement there called lying flat or let it rot. Or like young kids, they don't have any opportunities, or if they do get an opportunity, it's called the 996, which is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. So the whole country there isn't doing great. Russia's, going on this crusade for either, you could say NATO, you could say reunification of Ukraine into the USSR or the Federation of Russia or whatnot. But it's not for the money. At least I don't think so, because obviously they're hurting their economy a lot. The sanctions aren't.
Would you say it's more for the resources? Because I did see a news from.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. It seems like a crusade. It doesn't seem like it's for the money. It seems like it's for something else.
Because I did see a news video from NTD China. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They show videos of Chinese people starving tremendously, and the Chinese government. This is during when China was still under lockdown. I don't know if they're still under lockdown now. You had the Chinese people completely irritated that they are hungry. They want food, but since there's a curfew, only this amount of people can go out. They was irritated. They were screaming. They was posting all over social media and about how the Chinese regime, how they was poorly treating them. And I see a lot of these videos from these type of countries, and you also have some people say like they doing it right, and I'm like, the people are suffering. How could you believe like what they're doing is great when the people are suffering, they're starving, the population is decreasing. The same thing is going on with Japan too. It might be a
demographic.
It might be a man not wanting to get married, woman not wanting to get married thing.
Let me
want to call it.
Let me help you there. So, by the way, I lived in China for 2 years in Beijing. So the pictures that you saw were probably from Shanghai. Shanghai is a more cosmopolitan city, and people are more have like social media there. It's a relatively rich city. Like if you go to Shanghai, it will look like any city in the West.
Right.
It's a very nice place actually. And they locked people down in their homes. People couldn't go out to buy food. People died because they couldn't go out and get their medicine. It was pretty bad. They still have the zero COVID policy that the second a few people have COVID, like you lock everything down, similar to how it was like in 2020 in like the West. And the West
still going on.
I don't know if it's still going on, but what you saw was that policy still happening. I don't know if it's now going on, but if now, for example, you have like 10 cases of COVID, I don't even know which variant anymore. 10 cases of COVID, they lock down the city, or they lock down the airport or whatnot.
Right.
And basically when we had our lockdowns, we were basically imitating China. China had it. It did this harsh lockdown to begin with in Wuhan, and it seemed to have worked. So everyone's like, "Oh, look, China, this authoritarian regime is doing this thing. It's locking everything down, and it seems to work. Why don't we copy them?" Like, because that's not a good idea.
But they wasn't
And
looking at the economic side though, because when they did do the
they were
lockdown
panicking.
in the U.S.
They were panicking.
Yeah,
They didn't know.
I can understand that they were panicking. They say it was a lab leak of some sort. Fauci said lock everything down. Trump did it, and now
No, it's not that Trump did it. It's the cities themselves did it. Trump, I think, didn't actually say to do it or not do it.
well he did say he were it was highly recommended to shut everything down so we could slow the spread. We're gonna give it 2 weeks, but 2 weeks ended up turning to 6 months to a year.
15 months, yeah.
Yeah, it ended up damaging the economy, especially when it comes to the small businesses that are never going to be able to come back because they had no money. And when the one time they was dependent on the government let them down. And now you got a lot.
Yeah, small businesses really had it. It's like they had the lockdowns. Let's say they got a bit of money, then like they wanted to reopen again. They had like 1,000,001 different restrictions on how to reopen, what they need, distancing, and all that stuff. Some companies closed down. Then now they have, or at least in Europe, they have very high energy costs, and some like electricity costs are more than the rent.
Right.
So they're like poor small businesses this whole period, like treading water and getting drowned. Like the government's actually pushing their head underwater several times during the year.
Yeah.
And not everyone can survive.
Yeah, a lot. And then we it's also like people like myself who are saying like we should never lock down. Like we should have took it we should have kept business open, but just take a precautionary measure. And now you got a lot of studies, news articles that are proving my point, saying like, yeah, shutting down the country was a huge move that we shouldn't have taken because now people are out of money and people are getting evicted from their homes or apartments at a much more faster rate than ever before because they could not find any stable funding because of the shutdown. And a lot of us, especially on whether it be conservatives or libertarians, a lot of us right now are saying like, see, we told y'all how bad the government will mess this up. Y'all didn't want to listen to us. Y'all wanted to close y'all shop, listen to them because they said they know what's best for you. But you would take out your best interests about what's best for you and shut down your companies. And then when some guys did decide to leave it open, government came in and gave them a whole bunch of hefty fines or shut it down completely.
Yeah. And then the politicians themselves went to like eat dinner at some kind of fancy place with their friends,
right?
While everything else is shutting down. With regards to COVID and shutdown, I had like an opinion on this. So I've got like a background. Well, I don't really have a background, but I'm familiar with different statistical methods. And the one I would have liked to have seen was something called clustering, where we get some data or as the spread is happening. And I remember everyone was very afraid. I was afraid.
Right.
But what I would have done is clustering. So I would say, look, if you have one of these 8 symptoms or 2 of these 8 symptoms, then consider sheltering in place. And obviously this includes all people just out. But if we had done that, we say, look, we're protecting all the old people. We're like tuning them off from everyone else. We're sending them. We're paying to send them food. That's still cheaper than closing down the whole economy.
Right.
If like we give them some food, we take care of them, and then like let's say you're not old, but you have respiratory issues, you're overweight, you have diabetes, then maybe you should shelter in place. But everyone else, young people, healthy people, people that don't have any of these, let's say, 8 symptoms that we, using statistics, we said these are more sensitive or more vulnerable to coronavirus, then if you don't have these things, then just use your common sense. And to some degree, like Sweden, for example, there's a high. It's a country with a high degree of trust. Like the people trust the government trusts the people trust corporations, everyone trusts everyone else.
Right.
And they just say, well, look, here are some guidelines. We trust you. You're intelligent people. You've got brains, and take care of yourself. Now, not every single person. Like there were like a handful of people that didn't follow the rules, but most people did, and they did not shut down the economy. And let's just add that, you know, Swedish people maybe have a better diet, a better lifestyle. They're not all overweight or have respiratory symptoms, so they went through it relatively okay.
Right.
But yeah, that didn't happen in the U.S.
Yeah, because we got this side of the other dining room where there's people who are, if you go against this certain group, like politicians, or if you went against Fauci, the CDC, the WHO, you was obviously a anti-science. Like that was a lot of people's main argument. You are a anti-science individual, and you want people to perish. Even though my whole point was like, no, this virus is aiming towards people with disabilities and the elderly. I clearly stated on multiple occasions where those are the two demographics where they should take the most precautions, and a lot of us need to keep on working and paying our bills. But no, it was all, well, no. If these people gotta stay in their houses, then we should as well, even though we're not showing any of the symptoms. And that's also a main factor of the economy being completely destroyed, and the mom and pop shops can't open back up because on the other side of the aisle, it was either you are not with us, or we are in this together. And
yeah, it became very politicized very quickly.
Yeah, and most of them was like, we're in this together. You better do what you're told. And I was like, no, we got bills to pay. I don't care. You're gonna do what the government says. A lot of us was like, and you had people like Texas and Florida was like, yeah, that's not happening, because just shutting down everything. Do you not know how many people would end up homeless in the next 2 months? Even with the stimulus checks that's coming out, a lot of people just did not care about that.
They had that mortgage moratorium, no?
I got
rent moratorium or mortgage moratorium.
Yeah, well, yeah, the rent moratorium it did give people 6 months to because of the shutdowns. But after 6 months, there were some people who were still relying on the stimulus government checks, and they ended up getting evicted, and people got evicted at a much more higher rate than ever before. And a lot of people did not. They was at home all the time, just chilling and relaxing, and they refused to go back to work because why work?
You got a lot of money from the government.
Yeah, because why work when you get a free check?
Yeah, that was how big of a check was that?
12, sometimes 14. Some people got $600
a week.
A week, yeah. Well, I think the 600 was a week. The 1400 was every, or the 12 or 1400 was once every month.
In addition to the 600.
In some cases, yes, but a lot of people didn't get the same treatment when it came to the stimulus checks.
Okay, just who you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, the whole thing was messed up. Everyone was panicking, everyone was tribal, everyone was political. People in social media like shouting at one another instead of like thinking rationally about how to solve a problem. It was awful. It was I really had hope that after like all this authoritarian government stuff, that everyone's going to turn libertarian. Like half the population are going to like snap and say, this is wrong, I'm a libertarian now. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to happen.
That's a big wish to go with, because we all know people are, some people out here are really closed-minded.
Well, I just wondered if people like snap and say, no, I want my individual rights now. Stop taking away my individual rights. I like libertarianism.
Nah, I would say that's kind of false, because a lot of people would rather take safety over freedom, because they think if they have more freedom, they have more safety, they would have the equal amount of freedom, which is not the case at all. Because if you look at
Oh, I see. I see.
yeah, because if you look at a lot of places, a lot of countries that did this, you would see how the government has more rights rights and will than ever before, and the people don't barely get scraps now. And we got a lot of people saying, we got a lot of people on our side, the libertarians, or even some people who on the conservative side, saying like, what's the point of living if you have no free will or if you have no freedom? A lot of people was like, well,
Yeah. Did you see Scott? Scott had like a point on that. Fabian Liberty Scott. He had a debate with some guy on the Crucible. Are you familiar with these kind of debating platform?
the Crucible, no, had not heard of them.
Yeah, so Scott went on the Crucible, and like we're talking about freedom. Basically, I'll see if I can explain what he did. He was talking to a utilitarian, and he was saying that if people are slaves, but they're getting all these benefits, they're being taken care of, but they're still slave. Like those, especially like he was using the King Cotton speech from American history.
Right.
That the South was saying that the slaves they'll get taken care of. They have a pension. They're teaching the kids stuff. But if you're like in the North and you're not, and you're like on your own, if you lose a limb or if you hurt yourself, that's it. No one will take care of you. But the South are more utilitarian, more empathetic towards slaves. And the other guy just bit the bullet on that. Like, yeah, that's slavery plus social programs is better than no social programs.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll show you the clip. He just bit the bullet full on that.
What's the clip?
I have it on my channel now. I'll send it. But yeah, it was. Well, from a libertarian point of view, it's like, all the alarm bells are ringing, and you're like, no, this seems fine to me.
So he's okay with slavery as long as.
Well, if you compare the two, and say it's either slavery or slavery plus social programs, let's say like pension and I know dental or what I have no or whatnot versus not having these things, then slavery plus those things is better.
I gotta look that video up later on. I gotta see that. You said it was with the Caliber.
The Crucible.
Yeah, the Crucible. Okay. I would definitely check that out later. But the whole that's the thing about a lot of people nowadays, even who believe in socialistic and communistic ideologies. They would rather have safety over freedom, because apparently in their mind, freedom is a false sense of security, because at the end of the day, nobody has like real legitimate freedom. But that's not the case at all, because people do have freedom. It's based on their train of thoughts or their mentality. If they believe they're oppressed, they're still slaves, and in this time, some people do have mentality like that. A lot of people on this side try to kick them out of it, saying like, you could be great, you could be this, you could be that, but but you got the government coming in and say like, no, don't worry about anything else. We're here to take care of you. They automatically, now I wouldn't say all. Some people just automatically go and just say, you know what? Why work when I can get a free government check and just live my life while people who are paying taxes are taking care of my bills? That's what that's the one thing I had with the left wing YouTuber. I made some videos on the one that Fabian Liberty debated, where he said
free hacker.
Yeah, hacker. Where he said corrosion. Where he said capitalism and labor is an act of corrosion. I'm like, no, that's literally not what that is. It's more voluntary. He kept on going back and forth, like say, okay, so if it's an act of voluntary, isn't it voluntary for you to stay in a country where you can get taxed? I was like, yes, because there are a whole lot of other countries that tax their people. The United States is not the only country that taxes their people. he didn't really have anything else to say about that. He kept on going on the bandwagon that what happened?
Oh,
You still there?
yeah, I think it's on my side. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
So we're talking about work, employment is coercive.
He kept on going on his bandwagon that working or doing labor is an act of corrosion, and I kept on trying to say him like that's not the definition. That you don't know what corrosion means. Corrosion is to force somebody. Being like people, people are not sticking the gun to your head and telling you to apply for this job. No, it's more on you volunteering your time to go apply for a job. And if you get hired, you volunteering your time for a check. That's not enforcement. That's free will. That's voluntary actions.
Yeah, I agree. I had I can give you a debate clip that I did with someone where I basically say I like put myself in a situation. Say, look, I have a shoe store, and I'm like I need some help, and I'm putting up like job adverts, and people come to my store, and I pay them like a wage. I show them how to do. Am I coercing anyone? They say, well, no, you're not coercing anyone. So why do you think work is coercive? Well, it's the system. It's like you have to work, otherwise
you starve.
Otherwise you'll die. And it's basically saying, look, you have to work because nature makes you hungry and tired and thirsty, and nature is coercing you to do all the. If like your butthole was sewed in, and you didn't need to eat, then that's fine. No one's coercing you.
Yeah, but I also gave this point where I said, so is a hunter a person who's out there going for deer, bison, fishing, seeking his own fresh water to drink? Is he being coerced to go hunting for his own food, or is he doing that voluntarily, or is he doing that individually? He had literally no talking point to say out of that, because that is an act of labor. Nobody's telling him to do that. It's just he knows that's something he has to do, because if he doesn't, he will starve.
I think it's a good point, the hunter example. I'm wondering if a socialist would say that he would ask on which lands can the hunter hunt, and then we say capitalists own all the land, so it's not voluntary. But probably there could be some lands where you could hunt, and if you get the food, then it's fine, it's yours. But I just think that you can also make the case that you can live in the way we lived before capitalism, like find a place off grid, grow your own tomatoes.
I also made that point as well. He did not.
So, but people like capitalism. Like it's a good option. It's not the only option. It's just that every other option is so far worse that capitalism seems like the only option. But it's just, again, it's not really a talking point. And the thing that I think normies like about this argument, at the very least, is everyone had like a bad manager that they didn't like, and told them what to do, despite them, and they felt at the time forced to do what the manager told you to do. And the question is, like, look, some people are assholes, and you have to deal with them for one reason or another. But what is the alternative? You want the government to step in, and every time like you interact with another human being in a trade kind of sense, or corporation kind of sense, you want the government to step in and regulate that for you. So I just think that people can interact with each other better and solve problems better. If someone's being an asshole, and you can either choose to leave, you can choose to have a talk with them, or do what they say. It's up to you.
I can understand that. People don't want to be working for a jack off, a douchebag manager. But that could be any job, even if it's a small business owner. Some of them could be assholes too. But that's just how it is. And I know it's not a good look to be in that kind of position and be unprofessional, but you got look at the point that a lot of these people who are at the top, they are under so much pressure to try to keep business flowing. And you know, if business is not flowing, then it's more anger, it's more resentment. I'm not excusing them for being douchebags to their workers or even to their customers. Because that's not an excuse. It's just you gotta look at it from what they're going through. Now, I'm not saying every manager is going through this, because there are some managers out there who are just being complete douchebags just for the hell of it. But at the end of the day, there's gotta be some, like, you know, like you said, people had to talk it over, try to figure out what's going on with this resentment, what's going on with this bad blood. And a lot of people don't even want to talk about these kind of situations. Like, even when it comes to like the biggest loudmouths on social media, they don't want to talk about some certain things that they challenge me on, or they challenge us on as libertarians. They would rather say, well, your stuff is wrong, I'm right, you're stupid, goodbye, you're blocked. Just cringeworthy stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I would add one. I agree with what you're saying. I would add one more thing. I think, and this is to do with the word coercion as well. I think that the left or socialists, they take these words, also from libertarians. They take these words and make them into something completely different. So coercion, freedom, liberty, all this stuff, they take to themselves and change completely. So, for example, freedom, they're going to say, well, my system actually gives more freedom than your system, because I give benefits to people. If they're too poor and they can't achieve these things, then if the government gives them welfare, then they have more freedom than your system is offering. So they take these words and then they take them completely out of your context, and you're sitting there like getting really upset, saying, no, this isn't what the word means. And they're like talking about something else, and that's like 2-hour back and forth about definitions of words and not getting anywhere beyond that.
Right. Here's the thing. You can literally give out the definition about what the word actually means, and they would still say, no,
yeah, they don't care.
I'm right, you're wrong. Like, they're just arguing just through arguing, which, you know, I don't mind. It gives me content to make. It gives me like a certain thing to talk about if it's on my mind. So they could pretty much say whatever they please. You know, it's free speech. People have the will to say whatever they please. Just if they come at you the wrong way, then it's popping. You know, we gonna have to go.
About to go outside. And sort this out man to man.
Yeah, we're going to have to throw down. Resort to this. You know, because you got to do it on social media, because you know a lot of people nowadays are not even going to pull up at your house because you know you already know that they can't kick your ass. So it's either you're probably talking to a bunch of like skinny kids, like with the keyboard, just like, you know, no, socialism is much better. Like, no, what's funny is
I'm not going to do anything.
What's funny is that it's some people who are my age or older, and they giving off like some childish remarks, like they giving out 5 questions at once, and they literally have nothing to go about what I just said. They just said, you know, you're wrong, you're unintelligent, you're stupid, and also since I stutter, I must have not passed high school, even though I got my goddamn diploma. So yes, I know what I'm talking about. I just did a whole bunch of research on this. Some things that a lot of people do not want to do, because they rather listen to a big talking point like the Hassan Anabis, the Ethan Kleins, the Voshers, the Hunter Avalones. They rather listen to these guys and think, you know what, everything they saying is right. Instead doing their own research and actually looking into like the history of economics, capitalism, and socialism, like what I'm doing right now. Like this is all new to me. But at least I'm taking time out of my day to research some of this stuff, whether it be from some guy giving a speech at an auditorium, or whether it be some history videos, because education is free today People just gotta look on these the YouTube platforms or Rumble or Odyssey and see like there are a bunch of history classes in this one platform alone. A lot of people just don't want to look at them because it's not what they it's not their forte. It's not what they really want to learn. And then they call you out for being stupid, even though you actually did some research on it.
Yeah, I agree. Look, if you keep like trying to fight these people, you're gonna have like a long and you're just gonna get angry a lot because these people are like tribal at this point. They're not gonna study about capitalism, about how it really is. They are gonna keep listening to Hasanabi and Bosch and all those kind of people to reinforce what they already learned. And to some degree, I think it's really good that you are taking the time to learn how these economic systems work and how it can benefit yourself, which is ultimately what you should be doing. Like, how can I live a better life knowing this new knowledge?
Right.
And just, at some point, you're just going to get I am already. I don't debate socialist anymore because it's pointless to some degree. It's like, I'm very familiar with the arguments. I've studied Marx already. I know, yes, I did read Marx. And yes, you're right. Like you can see stuff on YouTube, lectures from universities, and I'm dyslexic, so I find it more difficult to read. Or if I do read, I have to put it like through this a program that like reads it out to me. If it's too long, if it's short, I can read it.
Right.
But like there's university courses online. There's on YouTube, there's a lot of people discussing these things, both capitalism and Marxism and socialism. So it's really good that you're interested in it. It's really good that you're studying these things. And I would recommend everyone to at least just read a few things or watch a few videos to just get I'm good with audiobooks as well.
Right.
Get a few audiobooks to on the way to work, like as you're commuting to work, to just put it in the background, just so you're stimulating your brain, you're learning about how the economy works, and the people that are saying the system is corrupt, there's no point unless there's a revolution, these are hurting your life because you'll get depressed, you won't improve yourself, there's no point because the system is corrupt, and ultimately you're just going to stay home and get angry all the time.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's probably 1 o'clock where you at right now.
Yeah, it's a bit late.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. We going into like 2 hours of this thing. It was a pretty nice talk. Pretty good talk.
It was a good chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
A good chin wag, as we say in the UK.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man, and I appreciate you giving me some insight about Karl Marx and socialism and economics, man. And we should do this again sometime.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on your show.
I appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
Bye-bye.
See you. Give me a second. I gotta bring this up. Hopefully this camera goes on. Let me go ahead and cut this off because I'm not doing it. I'm not playing the music no more. But appreciate everybody who if you're still at this point in the video, I appreciate everybody for watching, trying to get more insight about some economic talking points and some socialist talking points. If you made it this far, appreciate everybody for watching. And if you guys like this long video, because I know this video is going to be like 2 hours long. If you guys like the video, man, like and subscribe to the video, hit the notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.